meridianholistichealth.com.
Hello, this is Dr. Susan Lange, and I'm here with Rodger Hyodo, and we're here in Ojai, California. And Rodger, the reason that I want to talk to Rodger is because he is the creator of ATR and founder, and it's called Adjusting Thought Reflex, Peak Performance in High Pressure Moments. And I am absolutely fascinated with the reasons, because Rodger is doing incredible work with incredibly high-end people and making a huge difference already with this work. And I am totally fascinated to know why this work is so powerful and where it's coming from. And so, Rodger, you tell me that you were already very successful in the 80s, is that right? What were you doing?
In the 80s, I was opening French restaurants in Toronto for other owners, and then I decided I would open my own. And I realized, why not open a restaurant that has a healthy menu? Gourmet, but healthy. And so I looked into vegetarian recipes that could be adapted to gourmet cuisine, and looked up the different farms in the area, Mennonite farms and others that did organic farming, so that the meats on the menu were organic. And it was a huge success. So that was back in the 80s in Toronto, and unheard of, but it worked really well.
So you had this formula, you had people lining up around the block to come.
Out the door. Anyways,
out the door. And you were doing really, really well. And then what happened?
I was asked to help open some hotels in Europe, and I flew over there and I did that. And towards the end of that cycle or job, I had a motorcycle accident, and that changed everything for me.
Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry. So that was what, late 1980?
Yeah, that was around 88.
88. So you had this motorcycle accident in England, was that right?
In the countryside.
In the countryside, one of those little English lanes.
It was but it was a highway.
It was a highway.
Windy, lovely, sunny day.
Mm-hmm.
Just a car went into my side of the road or the highway, and it was a bit of a head-on.
Oh dear. So it was literally a head-on.
Yes, literally.
So and what happened?
In what sense?
What happened to you?
Okay. Well, literally what happened was the doctor who came to the accident claimed that I had no head injuries, even though I had gone through a windshield, my helmet had come off, and I had, hit the road head first, which meant I was taken to the wrong hospital for any kind of neuro surgery or conditions. And we're in the middle of the countryside, so it's not like there's a lot of options. We weren't in a city. By the time they realized that my brain was hemorrhaging, it was already a bit late. But I was in the wrong hospital for any attention. That meant from that point on it was all neural damages being done from the internal bleeding. I woke up from a coma in the right hospital. I was in comatose for a few days, and when I came to, my first experience, my first awareness was that I was in what's called an attunement, and I later found out I was in what was arranged as a long-distance attunement. And that allowed me to wake, because they couldn't use painkillers in those days, with extensive head injury.
So let's just a clarification, sorry.
Yes.
Are you okay with this?
I'm fine.
Not too much? Okay. I know a lot of our listeners won't know what an attunement is.
Oh.
So there are two questions I have. One, what is an attunement? And two, who is doing the attunement?
All right. So, well, let's skip the names for now, because remembering names is going to be very taxing at this stage.
Yeah.
But Lloyd Meeker and a chiropractor, maybe 60 years ago, had developed this thing called Attunement, which is a non-touch energy healing technique, which focused on the endocrine system. So basically what happens is you enter a safe space, you relax, you open up in response to the decision to relax because of the discernment that you're safe. And then your endocrine glands will start producing a different balance, and you feel better for it. That's a rundown of it. But this can also be done from a long distance by a few people. Not everyone can do that. It's just, and the man named Rodger Hyodo, who's passed away now, and his wife Dorothy were masters at long distance, and someone had arranged for them to be providing me with this cocoon of an attunement. So when I came to, that's what I experienced.
So, and this is fantastic, and this was part of a spiritual group that you were part of. Is that right?
At that time, yes,
I
was working with a group that Lloyd Meeker had founded a spiritual group when he was developing this thing called Attunement. And that group evolved into a large worldwide organization, but although it was different things in different countries. It was charities, and it was a charity in England, it was a different things in different countries.
So when you were in England, this group in England was doing an attunement on you, and that's when providing attunement, and that's when you woke up, you realized you were in this very safe spiritual place. Is that right?
That's definitely accurate.
That's amazing.
Yeah. That was my first conscious awareness. I knew I was in a hospital too. Obviously I'm laying there, unable to move, in a hospital, and I was feeling fine. Now, the interesting thing about the feeling fine is they weren't able to use painkillers on people with extensive brain injuries, that extensive, because it interfered with being able to monitor the state of the brain. And so that meant any of the broken bones and bashes that I had in the body, as well as all the damages done in the head, and the brain was still bleeding at that stage, there was no painkiller for. So waking up into this sense of bliss, actually, from the long distance attunement, was a marker for me as to where attunement can be most effective. It doesn't do the surgery. That's a clear distinction. There are surgeons for the surgery.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. And but it did do this thing that was incredibly valuable.
So it helped you be in a place of peace.
Yeah.
Which is what's needed for healing.
Yes.
Yes.
Peace, patience.
Patience.
So by the time I was able to listen to the doctors by the bedside, or the consultants, or I realized my ability to interpret by words, the meaning of words, was limited. It had been affected by the injuries. But what had happened was I had a heightened empathic ability to interpret the communication. And that was a big pointer to me. So I could hear, on the one hand, they were committed to the fact that I wasn't in a state that could recover, in their view. On the other hand, I could hear in the tones of their voice, they didn't know that. They were actually talking statistics in a way that was applied to my situation, and I could tell the difference between knowing, because of the empathic listening that was heightened in me. It was a strange juxtaposition to find myself in, but it allowed me to decide right at this starting point there, they don't know what they're talking about. I knew it. I could hear it in their voices, even though I didn't understand half the terms they were using. They don't know what they're talking about.
MeridianHolisticHealth.com